It has been a very rough season, if you ask me. We have been we have been having the need to adapt ourselves to a series of new conditions, and that's never easy. That's never easy, and that's only speaking about the ones that we have been able to adapt to. Nevertheless, I believe we have been doing a remarkable job in what we have accomplished, at least. And I'm really hoping for the future, as usual, as always, with great hopes. Even though I'm losing hope by the minute, it is something that, fortunately, even if all seems to be gone, there's still the small something, the small part, the small piece, the small microscopic feeling of enjoying what I'm doing, enjoying doing the streams, and even if I stop at one point believing that it may be possible to make it big, right? At the very least, so far, it works as an escape for me. It's a sort of an escape for me from everything else, I guess. The games are here, and there will be more coming, hopefully. And the most important is that we at least have that tiny window of opportunity, tiny window of possibility more than opportunity, in believing that at one point or another rescue may arrive. And I doubt that feeling will go anytime soon, because above all, if I get to lose all my hopes in this, I at least know that I have no other hopes for anything else. So it's all or nothing, right? And since it's probably going to be nothing, then it's the last thing. Speaking about the season itself, we have been playing some games. They were very enjoyable. We got to play some Perfect Dark, Mario 64, right? I'm not confusing seasons now. We played some Perfect Dark, we played some Mario 64, we played some... Well, we played a lot of that webpage game that I like so much. We played that secret guard game that I'm not mentioning its name, because it's the guessing game, the riddle is still on. So whoever gets to guess the name gets channel points. Something that we have to on a near time from today, we're gonna have to fix properly in order for them to make more sense. I remember the system was placed last time I checked, like last time I was doing work on it, and the system didn't look all that bad. It looked like it could be sort of sustainable, but I know that for resident sleepers on the chat, they will have like too many points, and that's not something bad. But in the end, it will probably make the game not as fun for them. So I will actually be doing it in hopes for it to be more entertaining for everyone. Both the ones that have too many points and the ones that will have not so many points. Anyways, just go and check on the shop, so that you can see what it is that I'm mentioning, what it is that I'm referring to. Because in the end, they're not items that are going to make a big... You can buy items there, and they're not going to be making a big difference. But it's kind of exciting to buy them and use them in chat. That's about it. That's about the whole point of the shop and the whole point of the game. But I think it can turn out to be very entertaining, provided that the users themselves find it entertaining and make it entertaining. Anyways, that may be just my opinion. It is of course a product that hasn't been tested, and one that requires much of the assistance of the users themselves, of the audience. Therefore, I don't know if it's going to be something fun for everyone, but I'm really hoping it becomes. And we also played, by the way, on this season, our hide and seek game. It was called Hidden Objects Game, The Big Journey, right? It was very fun. It was actually absolutely very fun, and it allowed us to delve a little into the profound sea that is Nintendo DS ROMs. So we got to play a couple of Nintendo 64 and one Nintendo DS ROMs, and well, the bad news about the other game, the one that we were mentioning, the one with the secret name, the card game, is that, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to continue playing games that are based on the Android platform, seeing as how they can become quite heavy, and I'm still very, very scared about what may be happening to this processor in the first place. Therefore, I don't know what to do about that just yet. We may or may not continue doing games in that platform. I still need to do some consultation in order to be absolutely sure that it won't make a big problem or bring any discontent to the involved parties. But that's that. We managed to play these 4 games in this season, and I think it was a good one. It was a rough one, but it was a good one. We had our ups, we had our downs, we have our even more downs, but we're hanging in there, I guess. Now that I'm seeing something, the stream's starting soon. I still don't know how that's gonna be fixed, because there are like so many, and because the connection fell at that point, and it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be very confusing about how to go on organizing this session. Like usual, instead of doing it by myself, like I used to do by myself and not involve anyone, I'm going to start a technology session just when we end this, and I'm going to be organizing the highlights. I used to do like a one shot for each product and say what we had, but nowadays it's kind of more difficult because of some conditions that have prevented streams to go on a single row. But anyways, we're gonna be picking up what streams we are going, what highlights from those streams we're gonna be having in a certainly organized fashion, something that is visually appealing, hopefully, especially with the screenshots and all of that. I still haven't checked how the last season went, but I think it ended up good, even though I didn't get to see the result, but I hope so. I hope mostly that it ended up being appealing to the eye. And even more so if you get to see the videos on demand, that it is appealing to, well, the other senses too. But for the moment being, we are going to be organizing the next one mostly on a blindfold too, because the streams nowadays that I'm making are very much different than the ones I made before. When I used to stream before on a more limited manner, I used to, as I just mentioned, I only had one chance to get the shot perfect and keep whatever we had. Nowadays, I'm starting to understand a little more the streaming platform, the streaming business, or at least I think I am, and it's a little more full of what's it called? It's not issues like technical issues. Yeah, technical issues. So it has been troublesome to be able to keep an organized stream. There used to be, if you saw the stream from beginning to end, it was usually a whole product. But nowadays I've been noticing that I get more sidetracked. So I go and check how the music is doing, so I go and check how the chat is doing, so I go and check how some other game is doing. You know, I don't get 100% concentrated, which provides for a much more organic product, as I was mentioning a couple of, we had 2 seasons since we restarted our official integration. So a couple of seasons before, the way I mentioned before that things, I wanted to have them more organic, and I feel they kind of are, but I don't know if they're as aesthetic. They're probably not. Probably have, I noticed from my own perspective at least, I noticed that when I start looking at one of the videos on demand, and the action is going, and out of nowhere I go to the chat, or I go and check on the music, or I go and do some other thing. Even when I say I'll be right back, that gets a little cringy for me, a little unaesthetic, not anesthetic, unaesthetic. It doesn't look good, period, for me at least. That's my opinion. If you ask me, I would prefer not to even have to stand up from where I am at times. But it's something that happens, right? It's something that is mostly unavoidable. And even though before I was able to do it on one shot, even if it was a whole hour, 2 hours sometimes, now we're talking about things that at times are even longer than that. And I find it is going to be quite impossible to not do other things. So maybe by the time I get like another screen, be it on a phone, be it another computer or whatever, if something like that ever happens, I'm probably going to be able to still check on other things while at the same time not losing track of what it is that's happening at that point in moment, right? There are of course also many other conditions that I hope get improved in order for the stream to go more fluently. But in the end, it's not that organic. At least from my experience on Twitch, I don't think it is possible for any streamer to do those kinds of things on a daily basis for long periods of time. It is unavoidable that persons get sidetracked or distracted by other things. And I think it's actually more sane than not, so I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it doesn't look good, but I, in the end, don't think it's a bad thing. So we're probably, most probably, then not going to continue having the same format, but I'm going to try to be less distracted, less sidetracked, I'm going to try to see other things less. That's what I've been trying to do on the last stream, and I gotta admit, it gives me that kind of an itching to go and take a break and do something else, because after doing, let's say, a single play, let's talk for example on the card game, right? The card game that we were playing, which name I'm not gonna say. After playing a whole set, a whole round, or a whole game, even a game, not even from starting from starting to the moment we lost. No. But from a single game, from start to end. Sometimes I just wanted to unwind, take a little rest, do something else, digest what I had just done, kind of understand, kind of reminiscence, even think of other alternatives, strategies, anything like that. I don't know, I see it like a very small, like a short moment, but it's still something that I like thinking about for a couple of seconds. Or even if that's not the case, still having a couple of minutes to think about something else, I think clears up the mind in order to make oneself able to go back at it and continue what it is that one was doing on a much more fresh perspective. But I know it is detrimental for the viewers, at least it was for me. When I was rewatching my videos on demand, my just recently recorded streams, I noticed that there were things that made me lost concentration as a viewer, and I think that's very important to keep in mind. Therefore, it is my commitment as of that top point and moment to try and not get sidetracked, try and not get distracted from what it is that I'm doing, and even if it's difficult, because like I mentioned, sometimes one just needs to think about something else in order to come back to what it is that one was doing with a much more refreshed approach. But if I do that, I'm gonna try to do it without breaking the pace or breaking the dynamic, even if it sounds counterintuitive or contradictory. But it is something that I believe with some practice I'm going to be able to further improve. But it will take me some time because I'm still fairly new at this, I gotta say. Even though I've been playing games probably my whole life, and even though I've been doing some entertainment as a side show kind of thing, not as a side show Bob, but as a thing that I have been unadvertently doing, not professionally, but something that I believe I have more or less enjoyed doing throughout my whole life. Doing it on a professional basis, on a day-to-day basis, on long hour schedule, is something altogether different. Well, not all that different, but it requires, just like any other how are they called, professions or trades? I think both of those words will fit. It requires, as any other profession or trade, to be trained, if you ask me, or to be polished, right? To keep in constant polishment, is that the word? To keep, like when you polish a diamond, something like that. To keep in constant improvement also. So beyond the new techniques, beyond the fact that I may learn something important or groundbreaking or get to find something like that, I think exercising, how is it called, when you do something and do it again and do it over and do it and do it and do it, perseverance, I think it is, to continue doing something, persevere, commute even, I don't know what it is that people call them when they do those kinds of things in work lines, right? And they every day have to wake up at morning and do that. It's not my case. I don't think it is as extreme, because I'm actually kind of having problems fitting on an hourly schedule. But seeing that, and seeing how much I want to do hours as a thing, I want to have a record of hours, like, I love just seeing how an stream has 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours on its mark. I love just seeing that. It is very, very, I don't know, very motivational for me to see that, oh wow, I did manage to do 5 hours more or less without interferences and without sidetracking, but 5 hours nonetheless. Wow, that's surprising. Especially since I've never been able to keep up with a job that usually requires 8 hours or so. I've had to do it a couple of times in my life, but I wasn't able to hold on to it. So that's one of my biggest fears, especially with this, because I'm feeling this is what I want to do, and if I don't manage to keep up a record of hours, I'm gonna feel even more terrified. Wow, what then? Am I not gonna be able to do anything? Because if I'm not even able to keep up with the thing that I want to do, what can I expect from the things I don't want to do? Well, I have had some experiences on the past, and that's why I'm betting all on this. Beyond the fact that we make it big, as I mentioned before, or that we make it sustainable, or that we something like that, it is one of my biggest fears to actually find myself or I fear that I could find myself in a position where, I don't know, where I wouldn't know if what I'm doing is what I can be doing or what I want to be doing. But mostly, well, sometimes I fear if what I do is not what I want. I don't think that's all that strange. It is a lack of confidence, and I think up to a certain degree anyone can have that. But sometimes I manage to get over it and say, okay, come on, I gotta get serious. If I feel it is what I want to be doing, then why not? May my free will rule over anything else or something like that, right? Anyways, it is still scary. So from time to time you will see me being very hesitant or being very afraid, and it could be related to that. It is a fear with which I live every day, and I bet even I would dare to say I would bet even that if I manage to at one point make it big, make it huge, I would still have that fear. Because how can one just say something and not doubt it? I don't know. Maybe some people can, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But in my case, I don't remember if I have. But if I tell you, have you in any point of your life have had to take back something that you said or did or thought? I don't believe that there could be any person that says, no, I never had to take anything back, to say something opposite from what I already stated. I don't think anybody can do that. I don't know about any other people's life, and like I mentioned, I cannot think right now of an example, right? Or an example that I can easily narrate. I don't know, but it is something that I believe has happened to me, and therefore there's always a portion of fear in me. I think it is also a healthy portion of fear, something that may allow me to keep my perspective on, and always remain thinking, am I doing what I should, what I want to be doing? Am I doing what I want to be doing? I always try to ask myself that, and I hope that the answer is always a positive one. Anyways, it is kind of easy at this point a moment to answer it affirmatively, because all other options beside this in my life right now are terrible. I don't even know what other word I can find to sugarcoat it, but if I'm not doing this, I'm probably having a bad time, period. If I'm not playing games, I'm probably having a bad time, period. So I enjoy also talking, even if I'm not entirely sure if someone is there hearing me. I hope that at one point I can be sure of it, but at this point in the moment I'm doing it even without, and considering the alternative choices, it is kind of easy to, at least on a 99.9% of the times, be able to answer with an affirmative answer, with an affirmative statement, saying yes, of course, this is what I want to be doing, this is what I like doing. But I always fear the days that I am uncertain or that I cannot answer with enough confidence. Well, anyways, that is tough. That is a tough weight to burden, and I doubt that nobody doesn't have it. I doubt that there's anybody that doesn't have it. I doubt that there's anybody that doesn't have it, because no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're with, no matter what you're feeling or thinking or planning, there's probably always a room for doubt. Not that I'm thinking that's a good thing or a bad thing. I actually think that it is healthier to have doubt and to be able to overcome them than to not have any doubts. But sometimes having the doubts can prevent, at least me, from doing things, and that's a whole struggle, right? Anyways, I was talking about this because I had another point in mind, but I started sidetracking back again, ironically. What was it that I was saying? I know I was saying something before talking about doubts. It was more or less related to the fact that I want to continue doing this and I hope to continue doing this, but at times I get scared of thinking on whether I should or want to be doing this. And that, I think I was talking about the schedule and about the hours and all of that, and about being able to make it on a what it is that how is that called, on a routine? That's how people that do, for example, the sports call them, right? Like a exercise routine, right? If they manage to keep up with the routine, they sometimes feel happy, even though they're called routines, and they sometimes feel soul crushing or expressions that are similarly spoken. I think that sometimes keeping a routine is a healthy thing. I've never been able to keep a routine on a job, and that's why I've been fired so many times, because I'm not able to keep up with the schedule. I'm not able to do the right hours and all of that, and that's where I found this to be a little more open, a little more possible for me, because even though I may not arrive at the same hour every day, I at least for this past week or 2 weeks or however much I have streamed, which is I know not much, I've been at least bootstrapping myself, pulling myself up to make it. Even though, as I'm saying, it sometimes is not easy. But I have noticed that most times starting anything, whatever it is, becomes sometimes too difficult. I mentioned it before on stream, if I'm not mistaken. I've said, wow, it sometimes takes a lot of effort to start, to begin doing the things, but I try to keep up with it, and I feel like I have been able to keep it up, but I'm not sure if I will continue, if I may continue doing it, because in the end it's tough, I'm not gonna lie, and I fear the day that I don't find the strength to pull myself back up to do it. Hopefully I manage to continue doing it. I don't think it's just me. I think a lot of it comes from my present environment, my current environment, which is both something positive and something negative, because sometimes it provides oneself with the strive to overcome it, to go past it, to make it in order to be able to stop being where one is. But the other times it's just heavy. It's just something that you cannot carry. It's something that becomes just impossible to move and impossible to do. And you don't know much about me, and I'm certain of that. But I have my own set of worries that I had to add to that weight, that I had to add to that burden, and that most days make it almost unbearable. But I just try to keep on going, right? And like I said, I fear the day that I would find myself not being able to. That may be the case why I haven't even taken a single day off so far. And I know that at one point I may not be able to stream on a day, and I don't want to do that, because I know that if I stop streaming one day, then I'm going to indulge myself on the next day and say, oh well, if I didn't stream yesterday, maybe I shouldn't stream today. And that just may go on a landslide of disaster. And it is not, I don't think it is because I am not enjoying it. I am enjoying it. It is not because I am not enjoying it, because I am enjoying it, but it is the start. I think it is getting the things ready. It is finding myself pressing that start streaming button. It is, I don't know why it is so tough, but I find myself that after starting, after managing to start, it all becomes much clearer and much easier. I don't know. It may be something of the moment, something that's happening right now. Hopefully it becomes easier faster than it becomes harder. Hopefully I don't get a big amount of issues that prevent me from at least trying to make it. My hopes are not very high, I must add once again. And my fears grow by the moment. But it is when I find myself looking at what has been accomplished, in other words, the previous seasons, when I look at the highlights, mostly, how they are also well organized. Well, more or less, right? Like, at least the slideshow is entertaining, it's fun to watch, even if it is for a couple of seconds. Even if sometimes I open up a stream later on and find myself remembering that even if the stream looks good, something perhaps not so good was happening behind the scenes for me. But I don't know, I don't think that much about it, or try not to, and try to make that feeling, that small feeling of well-being that I find when I watch at the highlights as a whole, to be something better than the bad moments, I guess. I would like to thank Twitch as a platform, because I have been able to hold myself together when I receive that email at the end of each stream. I receive an email stating how many viewers or lack of them I have had on that particular stream, and even though sometimes it is something that remains without hope, even though the numbers are still low, the fact that I received that email is funny. The fact that even if it is an automated platform, that is, you sending an automated email, you telling me about how poorly I read, it is still something that makes me feel as if I was important, as if what I did was significant. Even if it ends up being a dead end, that small portion of joy for me is a lot at this moment. And watching the big numbers in every stream, the biggest number I can hope to watch on every stream is the amount of hours I've made. It is not hours that I have made without feeling or without putting all myself on it. I don't know. So far, I have not fallen asleep a lot on the job, and every time I see that number being big, like 5 hours, even 3 hours on the worst day, but hours, numbers that rank on hours having been done, it fills me with joy. Nowadays, I don't find myself being able to be awake in much time of the day. I never have been. That's another reason why I couldn't make it on time to any job. Not even when I was not even having a job but studying, I was never able to make it on time. And seeing myself being able to do something, even if it is something that may not be felt as highly important for a big group of people, or being important enough to make me worthy of incomes that can assist me in continuing. It is still something that I have managed to do. Big hours even if they're not that big in comparison to many other big names that I have sometimes seen doing 8 hours, 12 hours, 24-hour marathons, world record number of hours streaming and whatnot. And there I am on just a little corner trying to do 3 or 4 hours, and sometimes not being very able to do it, but at least trying to, I guess. And just to cover my back a little, if I at one point stop doing it, because I don't know, I may at one point just get tired of it all. In the end, even though I like big hours, big numbers in the hour mark, it hasn't been my play style for a long time. When I was little, I used to play hours on ending. Nowadays, I'm only able to hold for, before I started streaming, when I was kind of practicing for it, I remember I only managed to at some points do 20 minutes, 40 minutes, and fall asleep. Take a nap, not take a big sleep, but I had to take a nap. And it felt good, it felt relaxing, because it wasn't done with much pressure, right? It was done in that moment, even though it was practice, it was just for fun. I was scared at that point and moment still, because I knew that I couldn't be doing that on stream, or that I doubt that's going to be. Even if it is, I'm not sure if it's permitted by rules, but I'm certain it is not something that many would want to see. Well, who knows? Maybe it is. I don't know. I think there's a category now that's like sleeping or something like that, and that didn't used to be there. I don't know. In the end, I believe Twitch is more or less a platform of not what one is doing, but about who wants to be with someone doing something. So when people find viewers or followers or subscribers even that want to be there, even if they can or cannot be there, when they find people that wants to be there, I think that's the biggest point of Twitch. It is finding a family that wants to see you, and for others it is finding a family that you want to see. I follow many streamers before, and I try to participate on the communities, and not on a very deep scale, I guess, more or less superficially. and I still hope I have been able to bring moments of joy even while being on chat. But sometimes I feel that those communities are not on par with my beliefs or something. Like, I may be slightly welcome, but I wouldn't feel like I belong to a family there. Nevertheless, I try to continue. Nevertheless, I try to continue being there. Nevertheless, I try to continue being there for the community that is already there, not as a permanent part, but a part nonetheless. And hopefully, I haven't been too bad of a pest for others, even though sometimes I know I have. That's unavoidable, especially if you have strong thinking like me or whatever, or strong opinions like me. But I dream of the day that I can find myself being like some of those streamers that seem, or at least they give the impression, I don't know if it is that way or not, but they give the at least the impression that they have found in others at least a group that has similarities, similar interests, similar tastes, similar ways of thinking at times, but similarities at the very least, which is something that I find very difficult to do. I don't remember the last time I found a like-minded person, never mind a like-minded group. But if I ever manage to find it, then that will be something big. And if I never manage to find it, well, that at least these videos may provide anyone seeing them with a moment of something that is less bad than what they're used to have. Because I cannot guarantee that this is something that you will find good, but if it's something that is less bad than what you're used to, then I think it's more or less worth it. I think I'm overextending a lot here. I don't know why, because I'm kind of just talking in circles, I guess, and saying the same things over and over. Same things that I guess I always said. But I feel, I don't know if better, I don't know if worse. I'm still wanting to cry. I'm still on the verge of crying, and I actually want to cry more than I did. I had to stop myself because I was recording. But if it was me, I probably would have cried more. And not because, at the first point I did it because I couldn't avoid it, but I wanted to continue doing it because I didn't want to stop it. But I stopped it, and I did it for the sake of this video. I think more important things had to be said than just hearing me cry there. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to thank Twitch as well, because it provides for the opportunity to be able to do this. Imagine what was, or don't imagine, but try to remember what was like before streaming. You just played, and it was good still. And you could find things there that you couldn't find elsewhere. You still have the hope. But isn't it a bigger hope if you're at least thinking that the product may reach other humans like yourself? Humans? Well, like-minded beings, in case some of us are inhumans. But at least it is a more something that one is used to, a more familiarized beacon of hope In the end, you can think that whatever it is that you're doing could and or would be seen by someone or something else. But having a platform that sends it on a more traditional sense to others, at least gives oneself a little more hope, if you ask me. I don't know. That's, I guess, the reason why I stream, to not lose hope, to maybe at one day make it big. But still, I just wanted to say also that yes, I'm still very, very afraid about those moments where I'm playing and then, I want to take a nap. That would be awesome, like to be able to play and nap a little while after doing what it is that one just did, and then playing again and then taking another nap, doing some of that murdering that one does on video games, and then taking a nap. Usually involves murdering something. That's life, I guess, right? But it usually revolves around killing something. But still, I would like to do that. Do a little killing, do a little napping. Maybe I'm just old. Old and poor and lonely. I guess that's the three biggest fears that a human being can find. And pain. Those are the biggest four fears I can think of at this moment. I have 3 out of 4, and the 4th one is not far from coming, I guess. But anyways, I wanna go down the existentialism road again. Even though I believe it's unavoidable, it becomes highly depressing. That's not what I want the stream to be about. But in the end, the stream is what I take it to be, right? And it is unavoidable for me to take something that I am making towards something that I am not. So if what I am is a depressive person, just pondering about the inevitability of death and anguish and pain, then in the end the car may just be driven there. But as I always mention, I think even beyond all of these things, or moreover, because of all of these things, is that I try to take it to a happier place, at least even if for a small portion of moment. But don't worry, if I one day become rich and famous, you would still have the same product, I guess. A lighter version, probably, a less awful version, but more or less a likely-minded version. For better or worse. Anyways, this is going to be all for our stream's ending session. Don't go away though, because we're just about to start on a technology and science focused on organizing our stream highlights, our highlights of this past season, alright? You know how it is, it's going to take me a couple of minutes to change title, change category, find the strength to press the button again. I know it sounds silly, but it's so difficult for me. It's like I get completely lost on doing those 3 things that shouldn't be so difficult, especially since I'm not a person that started using a computer yesterday. But doing those more or less silly things, just pressing a pencil and changing the title and changing the category and pressing back. For some reason, pressing the start streaming button is one of the most demanding tasks that I do. maybe you feel it is a joke, maybe you think I am a joke for saying that, I don't know. I wouldn't blame you, but in the end, you may probably feel related to a similarity like that when you may have had to do something that sounds simple or easy, yet it never is. I don't know. I'll leave it on. Write me back if you feel this way or have felt this way about something, anything, no matter how silly it may be. Sometimes it may just even be putting on a shoe that doesn't even have a shoelace to be tied. I don't know. Or clipping your nails. Sometimes that becomes difficult enough, and I don't know why. Perhaps it is because it's something that has to be done on a regular basis. I have no idea. What about cooking? If you have cooked, does it feel difficult? I have cooked, and I have done it for periods of times without much issue. And sometimes when I even have had to do it like for a while and then not do it, that actually becomes more difficult than doing it every day. So I don't know how some housewives, for example, or the people in charge of cooking manage to do it every day. I don't know. Probably if it was just me cooking for myself, I probably most days will just skip it and starve. Anyways, once again I'm digressing, once again I'm getting sidetracked, and as I mentioned, this was supposed to be closed a while ago. So I'm going to be closing this session right now. I'm going to be closing this session right now and doing all the small changes that need to be done in order for me to start the next stream, which will be the science and technology one. So without further ado, I'll see you in a little while. So don't go